Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyak Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we're continuing this first chapter on renunciation. Just some thoughts before we get into the text. This is an advanced text. So it is aimed at those who, having observed the world and having done some inner work already, have been able to see the inherent defects in a life based on getting what I want, it's going to make me happy. Now, this isn't for all of us. And I'm fond of one of the sayings of St. Paul in his letter to the Romans. I do not do that which I would do, and I do that which I hate. Therefore it is not I that do it, but sin that is lodged in my limbs. For him, sin was his word for what we would call vasana. So many of us may have an ideal, oh, I want self-realization. I would like to give up this world, but I do that which I would not do. And I don't do what I want to do. So I am stuck in this state of seeing the futility of my attachments, my desires, my control issues. But I can't stop. Does that sound familiar to anybody? So the tradition asks us to have some humility, frankly. Where are we in our spiritual unfoldment? Are we at the level where even though it's of value to learn about the highest Vedanta, where we're really at is at the level of practicing karma yoga, bhakti yoga. So karma yoga is for those of us who have an inordinate amount of vasana pressure. In Gita, the 4th chapter, Krishna says, every person is impelled into activity by the force of karma, by the force of prakriti, by the force of nature. What can restraint do? So we will set this task. I'm not going to do blah, 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 blah. Or I'm going to get up every morning and do yada, yada, yada. And we don't do it. It's our karma. So the tradition says, be humble enough to practice karma yoga. Act. How should I act? According to your desires, your swadharma. No point in collecting a new set of vasanas. Exhaust the ones you have. How? Take whatever your desires are and devote them to something higher than your ego needs. Serve. In Gita, Krishna will call this the yajna spirit, the spirit of sacrifice. And let go of the attachment to the fruits of action. Thy right is to work alone, never to its fruits, Krishna says. So we will get our allotted dose of joys and sorrows, successes and failures, honor and dishonor, all determined by the force of our past, not only in this lifetime, but previous lifetimes, if you believe in that. And then who is doing the doing? There's no me there doing the doing. It's just guna and karma, qualities of my mind and the force of my past as it interfaces with the karma of the surrounding society. This lessens the vasana pressure. Now, what is it we're going to experience? Swamiji used to say, go after the world. And then he would laugh diabolically. And he would say, let it kick you in the teeth. Let it drop you again and again. It's the only way to kill the ego. Now, some people want to be tantrikas. Ooh, I'm going to go have pleasure in the world and be a Mahayogi. I tell you, that's the more painful path. Knock yourself out. Go after the world. And you hear me say this so many times. Who got upset this week? Tell me this is the first time you felt that. Pay attention. Same situation, maybe only the names and faces change. The same dynamic. I meet one asshole in a day, bad luck. I meet two assholes in a day, coincidence. If I meet three assholes in the day, who's the asshole? Must be me. Pay attention. Pay attention. And what will this do? We develop a mature vairagya. In the end, renunciation, detachment is a function of insight, not willpower. I have to see the connection between my behavior and my way of thinking, my desire, and my suffering. Any thoughts on this? So far, he's talked about the relatively weak detachment. A person has a crisis in their life, but there's no real understanding of yoga. And that's rarely permanent. Then there's the person who has begun to develop some renunciation, still weak. I lie. He says it's strong. May decide to join a religious community, commit myself to the spiritual way of life. But that in of itself does not mean all the desires, all the upsets go away. And then he began to imply the kind of detachment that comes naturally with Paramahansa, the person who studied wisdom, the Stita Prajna Purusha, the Jnani, the man or woman of God. Meaning, there's no effort. A child can see the flame on the stove and go, oh, that looks interesting. The adult goes, I'm not putting my hand in that flame. Why should I do that? It's stupid. All right, what verse are we on this morning?
We're on verse 1. It's at the bottom of page 6.
Verse 1.
Yeah, I think it's a new chapter, or there's a new heading.
All right.
Iha janmani janmantaroy va samya ganushti tair vedanu vacha nadi viruptanya vividishya sampaditadvadayam vividishasanyasa ityabhidhiyate ayam cha vedana hetuhu sanyaso dvividaha janma padaka kamya karmadityaga matratmaka प्रेषोच्चाराणु पूर्वक दंड दंडधारणाध्यश्रम रूपश्चेति पुंजन पुंजन्म लभते माता पत्नी च प्रेष प्रेषमात्रतः ब्रह्मनिष्ठः सुशीलश्च ज्ञानी चैतप्रभावतः त्यागश्च तैत्तिरीयादौ श्रुते न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानुषः इति अस्मिन् च त्यागे स्त्रियो अप्यधिक्रियन्ते भिक्षुकी इत्यनेन स्त्रीणामपि प्राग्विवाहाद्वा वैधवादुर्ध्वं वा संन्यासे अधिकारो अस्तीति दर्शितं तेन भिक्षाचर्य मोक्षशास्त्र श्रवणमेकान्त आत्मध्यानं च ताभिः कर्तव्यं त्रिदण्डादिकं च धार्यम् इति मोक्षधर्मे चतुर्धरीटिकायां सुलभाजनकसंवादे शरीरगभाष्ये वाचक्नवी इत्यादि श्रुते देवताधिकरणन्यायेन विधुरस्याधिकारप्रसङ्गेन तृतीयाध्याये चतुर्थपादे अत एव मैत्रेयी वाक्य मां नायते येनाहं नामृता स्याम् किमहं तेन कुर्यां यद्देव भगवान् वेद तदेव मे ब्रूहि इति ब्रह्मचारी गृहस्थ वानप्रस्थानां केनचिन्निमित्तेन संन्यासाश्रम स्वीकारे प्रतिबद्धे सति स्वाश्रम धर्मश्वनुष्ठीयमानेष्वपि वेदनार्थो मानसः कर्मत्यागो न विरुध्यते श्रुतिस्मृतिइतिहासपुराणेषु लोके च तादृशां तत्त्वविदां बहुनामुपलम्भात् यस्तु दण्डधारणादिरूपो वेदन हेतु परहंसाश्रमः स पूर्वैराचार्यैर्बहुधा प्रपञ्चित इत्यस्माभिरूपरम्यते इति विविदिषासंन्यासः Vividisha sannyas. In this life or in the previous ones, by the study of the Vedas and other religious acts as enjoined by the Vedas, the desire for self-realization arises. The renunciation brought about this desire is called the renunciation of the seeker. This renunciation, which is the means to knowledge, is of two kinds. Renunciation of such acts only which, done with selfish motives, lead to rebirth, etc. And the other is taking to orders by muttering the Braish formula and accepting the danda, staff, etc. In consequence of Praeshocharanam, muttering of Praesha, the renouncer becomes a knower of the self, amiable and absorbed in the contemplation of Brahman, and his mother and wife are reborn as males. Source untraced. The Taittiriya school of the Vedas and other Upanishads speak of renunciation. Some have achieved immortality not by work, nor by progeny, nor by wealth, but by renunciation alone. Ladies also have right to this renunciation. By the use of the word piksuki, a female mendicant, it is shown that either before marriage or after the death of the husband, ladies have right to sannyas. The Chaturdhari Tika on the Moksha Dharma Parvan from the Mahabharata concludes, while dealing with the discourse between Sulabha and Janaka, that as their male counterpart, ladies are entitled to subsist on alms, to study the scriptures dealing with emancipation, such as the Upanishads, etc., to meditate on the self in seclusion, and to carry the tridanda, three thin sticks tied together, symbols of sannyas. Debating on the right of a widower to sannyas, following the argument in the Devatadhikarana in the 4th chapter of the 3rd book of the Shariraka Bhashya, the name Vachaknavi and others have been adduced. So the words of Maitreya are mentioned. With that wealth, what should I do, which won't lead me to the final emancipation? Tell me that what your holiness knows. Students, householders, and hermits for whom, for some reason, could not take to sannyas, even performance of their peculiar duties of the respective ashramas is not incompatible with the mental renunciation for attaining knowledge. There is no dearth of references to such enlightened ones in the Vedas, Smritis, Puranas, and Itihasas, as also in the present-day society. The state of Brahmahansa, marked by the bearing of the staff, etc., and considered a means to knowledge, needs no further elaboration by us, since earlier teachers have dealt with it comprehensively. So much for the renunciation of the seeker.
So the point here is he's talking about these various preconditions, what we were talking about earlier, when we've developed clear insight. And here he frames it in terms of after many lifetimes, the desire for liberation arises. And then to just cut to the chase, you cannot be a bhogi, a desirer of desires, and a jnani. If you are in ignorance and you've superimposed a snake on the rope, you will never be able to see the rope as long as you keep engaging with the snake as if it were real. So through insight, we develop mature renunciation. Now, in Viveka Chudamani, the student asks the 7 questions. What is bondage? How has it come about? How does it continue to exist? How do I get out of it completely? What is the not self? Who is the real self? What is the process for discrimination between the two? And then the guru says, dude, you've asked the right questions. The game's over. From here to moksha, it's all done. Swamiji used to say it's like when you're going to travel a long distance on an airplane and you pack up all your luggage and you take the Uber to the airport and you stand in line going through security. And then you get to the gate and the plane is delayed. And so you wait. Then finally you get on the plane. And because of the delays, the runways are backed up. So you sit there on the runway for another 40 minutes. Have you ever gone through this stuff? And then finally it says, flight so-and-so cleared for takeoff. Taxis, and then down the runway, and then lift off into the air. You go, we're on our way. You're not yet at the destination, but you're on your way. So also, by the time we become a jinyasu, we're on our way. So here Vidyaranya says, by the time you do these formal things, if you join an ashram, you become a sannyasi, you are given the secret mantras, you carry the danda, the sacred stick, you have the orange cloth, your head is shaved. If your intention is moksha, you're on your way. Now, if on the other hand, you have all sorts of issues around the world, and you join an ashram to escape, while you're in the ashram, you've got the same kinds of worldly issues as any other person. Competition with the swami next to you, envy, jealousy, anger, stuff like that, and you do not deal with it. You're still a bogey, even though you wear orange cloth. And then in this section, where he gives scriptural evidence why women can become ascetics, today we don't see the import of it, but going back to the 14th century, this was a big deal. This was a big deal. Now, India has had a long tradition of women's saints. Do you remember when Mirabai lived?
I want to say around that time.
Yeah. Great, great saint. And of course, today we have women's saints, many ways more than perhaps other times. And women are certainly permitted to take sannyas nowadays, where 100, 150 years ago it was a rarity. And then he ends this long, long section with the most important part. external sannyas, while beneficial, makes things a lot easier, is not essential. Householders, ordinary folk with families, jobs, responsibilities, they too can renounce, because the only renunciation that is necessary and the only renunciation that is efficacious is to renounce the mind. What do we mean by renouncing the mind? First, I take up Sakshi Bhav, the attitude of the witness. My thoughts and feelings are ever before me. And we develop yoga bala, the strength, the power of yoga. It's an enormous change when we feel and we see that just because I have a feeling or a thought, I don't have to act on it. The vast majority of people are robots. They have a thought or a feeling, scream and yell at so and so, fight with such and such, go after this. No yoga bala, no strength or power of yoga. So when I learn that just because I have a thought or a feeling, I don't have to act on it, that's huge. That's a major step in not believing. Then the scriptures fundamentally reduce what we call mind to only three ideas. The first, Jiva Bhavana, I think I'm a person. I think I'm my body, or the body plus the subtle body, thoughts and feelings, memories, stories. I'm good, I'm bad. I'm successful, I'm unsuccessful. I'm getting what I want, I'm not getting what I want. Jiva Bhavana. To start at least with the conviction that no personal sense of self is real. May not be able to stop it from arising, but I see it for what it is. That's especially helpful if we have moments of samadhi, where I can introvert the attentive faculty. See that the self in me is just the space of pure awareness. There is no Jim, there is no Aditi, there is no Mark, David. May not be there all the time, but at least now I have something real with which to work. Second idea is a goal. When I'm caught in Jiva Bhavana, the attitude or the feeling of being a person, it always has the quality of feeling discontent. And then my mind posits a goal, and it only takes two forms. We either need to fix the world, change people, places, things, or conditions. I need to change me. I think this self I am is real and it's flawed. I need to be taller. I need to be prettier. I need to be smarter. I need to have fewer character defects. I need to have more virtues. And whenever I'm in that situation, having a goal, I have struggle. Kartavya, obligatory action, which is always rooted in kama, craving, spriha, longing, wanting, wanting, wanting. The more I want something, the further away it seems, the more it hurts. Those three ideas. I think I'm a person. There's some goal that'll make me happy, and I have to struggle toward it. That is the mind. That is samsara, the world of rebirth. That is karma chakra, the world of karma, the circle of karma. That's my problem. So the next level of renouncing the mind is to see that triumvirate for what it is, and at least understand its fundamental unreality, so I can begin to work on those issues. I can work on dropping the personal sense of self. Who am I? Great practice of Ramana Maharshi. I can work on letting go of my deeply rooted belief that the world is inherently joy-giving or misery-producing. No. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. And I can begin to give up kama, craving. We started 14th chapter of Gita. What causes all our suffering? Arjuna says. Krishna says, it is kama, craving. It's the krodha that comes afterward. What's krodha?
Anger.
Yeah. Remember Vedanta's definition of anger: thwarted desire, unmet expectation. It's never out there. If I'm disturbed, no matter the cause, I'm the one with the klesha, the affliction. I'm the one with the dosha. Ignorance says, beat the crap out of people. Yoga says, get over your cheap self. Now, I'm not saying they're right and you're wrong. Do you see that? The world and its people are oftentimes quite silly, quite illogical, doing unjust things. But if I'm reacting, I am the problem. So this is a deeper level of renouncing the mind. So if you're wearing the orange cloth and you are not renouncing the mind, you're still going to suffer. And you can be like King Janaka. You're king. be a person of peace. Then the deepest level of renouncing the mind is to practice, I cannot think a real thought. I was talking with a student last night. And he was listening to some Thich Nhat Hanh on Buddhism. So, oh, this is so much clearer and beautiful and more straightforward. You know, if you compare it to Gita, it's racist and it's classist and compare. And as we got into the scripture, we're studying Mandukya, the second chapter right now. He goes through all the various schools of thought that were prevalent in Gautapada's period and says, all of them are illusion. It includes the Vedanta or Buddhism as a school of thought. You can't think a real thought. Even the Vedanta in the end is not real. But it's powerful. Shankara will use the example that it's like the thorn that you use to remove the splinter from your finger when both are passed away. Modern day example, it's like detergent in the washing machine. I have dirty clothes. I put my dirty clothes in the washing machine, and then what do? I get my Tide Pod, put it in, more dirt. But the Tide Pod has the remarkable quality of being able to remove other dirt. And in the rinse cycle, all is gone. In the end, only the self is real. Okay, I think we've got all the pieces of that verse. Is there any part of it you have questions about, any of you? Next one.
Vidvat sannyasa. Atha vidvatam sannyasam nirupayamaha. Now the renunciation of the knower will be dealt with.
So all that we've dealt with up so far is of the jnyasu, the seeker after liberation, the mumukshu, the one desirous of freedom. Going on.
Samyaganushthiteha Shravana Manana Nididhyasaneha Param Tattvam Viditva Viditavadpihi Sampadyamano Vidvat Sannyasaha Tam Cha Yagyavalkyaha Sampadaya Masa. Taking to orders by such men who, by correctly following the scheme, namely study, reflection, and meditation, have attained the highest truth, is called the renunciation of the knower. Yajnavalkya did this.
So, the renunciation of the knower, who is it who's trying to figure stuff out? Listen very carefully. There's a difference between a person who thinks they are a knower of Brahman. If you think you are a knower of Brahman, you are a fool. But the woman or man of wisdom knows I am. So what's the methodology in Jnana Yoga? That's our tradition. Advaita Vedanta, the non-dual path laid forth in the Upanishads. Shravana, hearing. First, I hear about the truth. And today, in our modern times, you can hear with your eyes, meaning you can read. We have access to the scriptures with a printing press, with good commentary. Then comes manana. I think about it. I ruminate on it in my mind until I'm convinced of the truth of the scriptures. Then nididhyasana, long and continuous meditation. This nididhyasana is rarely fruitful if the mind is under the influence of a lot of vasana pressure. What does that mean? Who here has ever sat in meditation and your mind is just, and you go, oh, today's not the day. And you get up and you go about stuff. Who's done that? What is the disquiet, the motor mind going on? Vasana pressure. So, nididhyasana is not just being able to concentrate on an object of meditation. That's not enough concentration. Early stages of jnana. Oh, I repeated my mantra 1,008 times. I chant Vishnu Sahasranam every morning. I have gotten my imagination so clear that I can close my eyes. I can clearly see the form of Lord Shiva. These are valuable for cultivating single pointedness of mind, but it's not nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is simply this. Based on the suggested mode of thinking put forward in the Upanishads. Who am I? What is my essential nature? I practice discriminating between the self and the not-self. When I see something as not self, I renounce my attachment and my identification. This practice is called Viveka vairagya cha. Discrimination. Self alone is real. The phenomenal world is illusory, not self. Not the body, not the prana, not the feelings, I'm not the thoughts, and I'm not the agent, karta. Then mature vairagya, that desire to renounce attachment to all experiences gained through the senses. Not run away from the world. Renounce my attachment, my sadraha, and the desire to renounce identification with any form of self. I'm not a person. Oham Brahmasmi, Chidananda, form of this consciousness. Not only in my meditation seat, but as I'm moving through it. Second thing to focus on, what is this world? This world is like a dream. How has it come about? Sankalpena, by means of imagination. Seen but not real. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And you'll hear Shankara say things like renounce attachment to family, wife, children, etc. Oh yeah, I'm not going to get married. Oh, I'm not going to have kids. It is a challenge when you are married and you do have kids to not be attached. That doesn't mean to not be present, not be caring. Your husband, your wife, your children are not extensions of your ego. Stop it. Everything else. All right, next verse.
तथा हि विद्वच्छिरोमणि निर्भगवान् याज्ञवल्क्यो विजिगीषुकथायां बहुविधेन निरूपणेनाश्वलप्रभृतीन विप्रान् विजित्य वीतरागकथायां संक्षेप विस्ताराभ्यमनेकधा जनकं बोधयित्वा मैत्रेयीं बुबोध येषुस्तस्यास्त्वरया तत्त्वाभिमुख्याय स्वकर्तव्यं संन्यासं प्रतिजज्ञे ततस्तां बोधयित्वा संन्यासं चकार. tadubhayam maitreyi brahmanasyathanta yo ramna romnayate ataha ha yagyavalkyo anya dvrita mupakarishya maitreiti Hovach Yagyavalkyaha Pravajisha Nva Are Aham Smat Sthanadasmi Iti Etavadare Kalmamritattvamiti Hoktva Yagyavalkyo Vijahar iti cha. Thus, the great among the learned, His Holiness Yajnavalkya, defeated Ashvala and others in debate by convincingly establishing the truth in various ways, and convinced Janaka in different ways by discussing in brief and in detail the highest degree of detachment. And then, desiring to instruct Maitreyi and to turn her mind quickly to this truth, he declared his decision to renounce the worldly life. Thus, having instructed her, he took to sannyas. Both of these have been described in the beginning and at the end of the Maitreyi Brahmana, respectively. Thus, Yajnavalkya, who was about to accept the life of a sannyasin, said, "O Maitreyi, I am going to give up this life of a householder and taking to Pravajya, for this indeed leads to immortality or final emancipation." Saying this, Yajnavalkya left.
So he's, as is the style in a Prakarana text, he's footnoting. Where does he get this idea from the story of Yajnavalkya? Prabhacha, he's going to become an itinerant preacher, basically. Pravachana means to talk about this stuff, to teach one another. So the idea here is he gives up the life of a householder. What is the life of a householder? It means you're married with children, you've got a job, you've got a business, you've got worldly responsibilities. The dharma of a householder is, what is it again? Artha? Refresh my memory.
Arth, dharma, kam, moksha.
Artha, wealth, dharma, proper living, kama, fulfilling of desires, and ultimately liberation. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a particular state of our unfoldment, not just a period of life. One out to the deeper meaning. But here, Yajnavalkya reaches the point where he may continue to live in the very same place. And now he's given up concern. And again, we have all the stories about the enlightenment of King Janaka. King Janaka, the story I like is he's at a party and he drinks too much. So he goes out on the patio to get some fresh air, and a bunch of celestial damsels come to him and teach him the highest wisdom. And he goes, right there he practices Viveka Vairagya, falls into samadhi for a muhurta, 48 minutes, comes out of it and says, why should I bother with this world? Kingship, women, riches mean nothing to me. I'm going to go leave, become a forest mendicant. Then he has the deeper insight. What is there to be gained by removing myself? Like trees are any different than palaces? Sarvamaya, Sarvamana. It's all Maya. It's all this. So he stays as a king, fulfilling his prarabdha, his karma. Each one of us are characters in the Lord's play. Remember, Leela, play, has two meanings. Play like sport, baseball, or play like I'm going to Berkeley Rep to see a play. So each one of us is a character in the great drama of this world at the level of the body, mind, and intellect. It isn't going to be any better by trying to learn some other actor's lines and play their part. First of all, they're taken. And who's going to do your part? And you are untouched by any. Whether you're the Mahatma or you're the housewife. If you think you're a person, you're a fool. No, you are Brahman. You will be at peace. No change in external circumstances is going to make it better. And you're proud of the karma of this very life. Place you where you're supposed to be. All right. Is the next one a longie or a shorty?
It's a medium-y.
Well, we got 5 minutes. Let's see if we can get through it.
Kahola brahmanepi vidvat sannyasa amnayate etam ve tamatmanam viditva brahmanaha putresha nayasha vitesha nayascha lokeshanayascha vyutatthayatha bhikshacharyam charanti iti na chaitadvakyam vividishasanyasa paramiti shankaniyama purvakala vachinaha viditva iti katva pratyasya brahmavidvachino brahmana shabdasya cha badha gat. न चात्र ब्रह्मण शब्दो जाते वाचकः वाक्यशेषे पाण्डित्या बाल्य मौन शब्द विधेयः श्रवणं मनन निदिध्यासनेः साध्यं ब्रह्म साक्षात्कारमभिप्रेत्य अथ ब्रह्मणः इत्यभिहितवात्. In the Kahola Brahmana, also, this renunciation of the knower is mentioned thus. Having realized this very self, Brahmanas become mendicants, giving up desires for offspring, wealth, and heaven, other worlds, etc. The Upanishadic text should not be considered to refer to the renunciation of the seeker, because that will not agree with the gatva suffix in viditva, indicating the past time, and the word brahmana, meaning one who has known Brahman, the Supreme Self. The word brahmana does not here mean brahmana as a class, since the Upanishadic passage ends with thence brahmana, indicating the realization of Brahman, the Supreme Self, by the prescribed method of study, reflection, and meditation, which are described there as learning, childhood, and silence.
So the idea here is, again, a footnote. If you've gotten to the point where you're serious about becoming a mumukshu, wonderful. What do? Hear the truth. Think about it. The long and continuous meditation. Abhyasa vairagyacha. Practice and intense renunciation. This leads to being a knower of Brahman. Even more clearly, he becomes Brahman. He realizes, she realizes that she is Brahman. And again, the easier way is if your karma is such that you can go off to the Sringeri Mutt, leave the world, be immersed in a particular lifestyle, or take the brahmachari training course with the Chinmaya mission or something like that. It's a fascinating thing. One of the things I hear about the swamis in the Chinmaya mission today is they work so damn hard. They're administrators. They do children activities, fundraisers, all this worldly stuff, even though they're in the line. They're not renunciates in many ways. The world still encroaches on them with enormous responsibility. So don't worry too much about the externals of your life. Give up ego prompted activity. What does that mean? If you have the idea, what's wrong with my life? I'm in the wrong city. I've got the wrong partner. I've got the wrong job. The politics are wrong. I don't have the right clothes. All these stupid ideas that somehow what's wrong with my life is external, or I need to change something about my body or my personality. Drop it. It's like chasing after the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Don't believe me. Nobody here today is a kid. How's that worked out for you? Go after something. And very soon you will see this, what I call the cosmic teeter-totter. The more I let go of the world, the greater my serenity. If, on the other hand, the more attached I am, the less my serenity, the more my anxiety, my problems, my worries. All right, we'll end here. What verse are we on, or what page are we on for next week?
We're on page 10, the first blurb of Sanskrit.
First shloka at the top of page 10 for next week.
Yes.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all.